The beach was impeccably peaceful. The endless blue sky stretched out over the golden sand, and the gentle sound of the waves crashing against the shore filled the air with a natural melody. It was the kind of place where time seemed to stand. Still, a perfect retreat for those looking to escape the hustle and bustle of the modern world. The light breeze rustled the palm trees, creating a relaxing atmosphere, as if inviting everyone to disconnect from the rest of life and simply exist. In the moment, it was a deserted beach, far from the hustle and bustle of the tourist areas, with a breathtaking landscape that offered a perfect setting for those who wanted to get away from prying eyes. But among the anonymous figures that were scattered across the sand, one name stood out. Lauren Sánchez, a woman who, even in such a remote place, caught the attention of anyone who saw her. The first thing you notice about her is not her stunning appearance, but the aura of confidence she carries. Her swimsuit, discreet but sophisticated, reflects the unique style that defines her. There is no exaggeration, there is no ostentation. Just the imposing presence of someone who knows herself deeply and who knows exactly what she is doing, where she is, and, perhaps most importantly, who she is. As Lauren walks along the beach, the scene around her seems to slow down. The sound of the waves and the wind seem to almost fall silent, as if the universe itself is paying attention to her. Few notice, but a small group of admirers begins to form. They don't approach her right away, respecting the distance, but they can't help but watch. After all, this is Lauren Sánchez, a world-renowned public figure. However, instead of being bothered by the attention, she smiles gently, acknowledging the looks but not showing the slightest surprise. She's not a star on a stage, she's a person in the simplest and truest sense of the word. She walks to a quieter corner of the beach toward a less crowded spot, a place where she can finally breathe without the expectations of the world on her shoulders. Her movement across the sand is smooth and unhurried, each step reflecting the calm she radiates. She doesn't care about the stares, she doesn't care about other people's curiosity. Lauren seems completely at peace with herself, which in itself makes her even more fascinating. Her way of being, at once distant and accessible, creates an aura of mystery around her. The viewer is left curious, trying to understand what makes a person like her so different from others. The contrast between her public persona and her carefree behavior generates a feeling of admiration, but also of unease. After all, what goes on in the mind of a woman so famous, but who, at the same time, knows how to retreat to the quiet of a deserted beach? When Lauren finally settles into a lounge chair, the scenery around her seems to almost bend toward her. The beach opens up like a vast natural stage, with the sun reflecting off her tan skin and her soft-toned swimsuit, which highlights her beauty in a simple but powerful way. The focus of the scene is on the details, the glow of her skin in the sunlight, the calm movement of her hair in the wind, and the sense that she is completely at one with the place. Lauren, with her elegant and relaxed posture, becomes not only the center of attention of those around her, but also the center of a mystery yet to be unraveled. The viewer, still in shock at seeing her so accessible and yet so inaccessible, feels compelled to understand more about who she really is, what she thinks, and how she got to this point. At this point, the story is already built on curiosity. Who is Lauren Sánchez when the cameras aren't on her? What does she do when she's alone? How does she connect with the world around her? Every detail of her appearance and every silent gesture makes the audience question their own perception of celebrity fame and what's real. The hook is set. What seemed like a simple day at the beach, away from the spotlight, turns into a journey of discovery, and the audience is now hooked, eager to explore what happens next. The sun continues to shine, but the atmosphere on the beach begins to change. The serenity of the place now contrasts with the growing tension that surrounds Lauren. Even in this tranquility, she cannot completely escape the curiosity of those around her. More admirers approach discreetly, but no one dares to invade her personal space. She watches with a calm and almost contemplative expression as the eyes turn towards her. However, instead of showing discomfort or disdain, Lauren simply smiles and makes a gentle gesture to those who approach, a silent invitation to interact. Her immediate response is not to shy away, but to give them something more. Her genuine attention. An older woman finally comes over and sits down next to her, breaking the ice with a conversation about the heat of the day. As the conversation progresses, the woman begins to question Lauren about how she deals with the pressure of being a public figure. Lauren's response is calm but full of wisdom that few would expect from a celebrity. She talks about the challenges of maintaining a public image, but also about the importance of being true to oneself, cultivating inner peace, and finding true happiness in the small moments. The pressure is constant, yes, but who we really are can only be known when we are alone, when there is no one else to judge. I take refuge in these moments of solitude to understand what really matters, she says with a deep look in her eyes as if she were reflecting out loud. This simple yet profound conversation goes unnoticed by most people around her, but it has a powerful impact on the viewer. Lauren's character becomes even more three-dimensional. She's not just a successful figure, not just a familiar face. She's a complex woman who struggles to find a balance between the expectations of the world and the need to be true to herself. She reveals that her confidence isn't something superficial or forced, but rather something that comes from constant inner work, from a struggle to understand and accept herself completely. This exchange leaves the viewer with a sense of renewed admiration, but also with a nagging question. Would I do the same in my place? As the sun rises higher in the sky and the afternoon heat begins to intensify, the conversation deepens. Lauren shares snippets of her life, her personal challenges, and even moments of self-doubt. She talks to the woman about the price of fame, what it means to be recognized everywhere, and how she often feels like she's lost the chance to just be an ordinary person. There's nothing more liberating than being invisible. But somehow, I realize that even when the cameras are off, I'm still being watched. It's an irony of modern life, she says, a bitter smile appearing for a moment before being softened by the peace she's trying to cultivate. However, as the conversation continues, a new perspective begins to emerge. Lauren talks about what really motivates her to keep going. It's not fame, it's not public approval, but rather the search for an authentic life, for moments that connect her with what is real and meaningful. She talks about her relationship with nature, how the simple act of being at the beach makes her feel renewed, as if she is in tune with something much bigger than herself. The sea reminds me of the immensity of the world, and that no matter how hard we try, we can't control everything. There is power in accepting uncertainty, she concludes with a calm but firm tone. This moment of introspection and vulnerability puts Lauren's entire public image into perspective. What seemed to be a simple celebrity enjoying a day of rest turns into something more complex, more profound. The audience now sees a woman who, despite her life surrounded by luxury and fame, faces challenges that are human and universal. The connection she establishes with the woman at her side and indirectly with the audience is an invitation to reflect on her own path. Like all of us, Lauren also struggles to find her place in a world that demands so much of us, while at the same time leaving us so disconnected from our essence. This exchange becomes the turning point of the story. From this point on, the audience is no longer a passive spectator. Now they are involved, connected to Lauren's vulnerability and her search for balance. And as the conversation continues, the beach becomes more than just a backdrop. It becomes a reflection of Lauren's inner discussions. Every gesture, every word exchanged is a fundamental piece in the construction of a much larger enigma, an enigma about the price of fame, personal freedom, and the search for something deeper in life. The hook remains: does true freedom lie in escaping fame, or is it finding new meaning within it? The day at the beach is drawing to a close. The sun, which had previously shone brightly in the sky, is now preparing to set behind the horizon, dyeing the sky in orange and gold hues. The sound of the waves, still constant, seems softer, more reflective, as if the sea itself were following the transition of the day. The energy of the place, which had previously been charged with warmth and movement, now becomes calm, almost meditative. Everything around Lauren seems in perfect harmony, as if the world has slowed down to allow her to simply be there in that moment. However, despite the calm, there is a growing sense that something is about to change. Lauren, with her gaze fixed on the horizon, seems to be reflecting on the words she shared throughout the day. Her exterior peace contrasts with the complex internal reflections she seems to be experiencing. She looks at the sea, the sand, the sky. Everything seems perfect, but somewhere inside her, she knows that external peace does not always reflect the true internal struggle. The wind plays with her hair as she rises from the lounge chair, taking one last look at the landscape around her. Her posture, still imposing, now displays a lightness that is reflected in her expression. She is not saying goodbye to the beach. She is, in a way, saying goodbye to a part of herself, a part of the constant search for meaning amidst fame and visibility. It is at this moment, as she begins to walk towards the beach exit, that a sense of accomplishment begins to build. The camera follows her for a few seconds, capturing her calm, unhurried steps, as if each movement is a silent declaration of freedom and self-acceptance. She could have rushed, she could have run to escape the attention, but instead she simply moves forward, as if leaving behind everything that prevented her from living her fullest life. The contrast between her calm step and the myriad of people and expectations that surround her in the real world is palpable. And with this silent farewell, Lauren shows the audience that true freedom does not lie in running away, but in living without the chains of constant search for approval. Before getting into the waiting car, Lauren takes one last look back. The sunset now envelops the beach in a soft, almost mystical light, creating a sense of closure. She says goodbye, not with words, but with a serene gesture, almost as if she is saying goodbye to a version of herself that has been shaped by external pressure and welcoming a new, more authentic, truer version. The impact of this moment is not only in the image it conveys, but in what it represents, the struggle to be free in a world that constantly tries to define who we are. It is a powerful reminder that often the real struggle is not in conquering the world, but in achieving peace within oneself. As she climbs into her car, Lauren's face is reflected in the side mirror, illuminated by the soft evening light. The sight of her calm, almost serene expression fills us with a sense of wonder. She is not running away from fame, but accepting that, while it may be impossible to completely escape the eyes of the world, she does have control over who she is. And that, in itself, is a quiet revolution. As she drives away from the beach, she's not just going home. She is, in a way, taking with her a part of what she has learned, and in doing so, she leaves behind the expectations of others, keeping only the truth of who she really is. The camera stays focused on her reflective face for a few seconds, before smoothly cutting to the road ahead. The sound of the waves gradually fades away, and a soft but uplifting song begins to play. In the background, the final shot is an image of Lauren, not as the public figure everyone knows, but as the woman who has decided to free herself from the constraints of fame and perfection and simply be herself. The viewer now sees themselves not just as a witness, but as a part of this process of self-acceptance. The screen slowly fades to black, and a final thought echoes in the viewer's mind. True freedom is the courage to be who you really are without apology. This is the final moment, the impact that will remain with the audience. The invitation to reflect on how each of us deals with our own internal and external struggles. And Lauren's journey on that simple day at the beach becomes the metaphor for all who seek in some way to be freer, more authentic, more ourselves.